AzurRx BioPharma is working on the next generation of targeted GI therapeutics. And with me is the CEO, James Saperstein, to explain more about what they're doing. And James, you've been CEO for 2 years, maybe not quite. Okay, all right. What a 2 years it's been, by the way. What a year it's been for your industry. My goodness. So I guess give me a little bit of history. Why did you join the company? What are your goals?
Great, thanks, and thanks for having me. I joined back in October 2019, and I've been in the industry for a very long time, but my first job actually was working for Eli Lilly, and that's going to explain a little bit as to why I joined. Back then, we were looking at selling human insulin and really competing against porcine-derived insulin that had been on the market for 85 years. And I looked at some of these patients who were getting resistance issues to the pork-derived insulin and why we needed to convert them to human insulin that was made at that time from recombinant DNA technology, E. coli, and a lot of doctors were kind of freaked out. Well, why would we want to give them something made from E. coli? Well, similar to AzurRx's lead product, MS-1819, the main competitor is AbbVie's product Creon, which is made from crushed up pig pancreases that put it to powder form and put it into capsules. And a lot of these patients over the years who have cystic fibrosis, once they take these capsules, they start getting these resistance issues. We have a yeast-derived, enzyme-derived, humanized product that we would use against the porcine-derived product. So very similar story to the human insulin. We would be replacing porcine-derived product and therefore less antigenicity for the patients, less capsules, a better source. We don't have to focus on sacrificing pig herds to get our product.
Now, is this then the first wave, the first product that you've introduced when you're there?
It will be, yeah. Okay. It's funny that you say first wave because we licensed some products from a company called First Wave. Nicotinamide, but yes, MS-1819 is the first product from AzurRx.
Okay. All right. And then you stated in your letter to shareholders that the result of the MS-1819 monotherapy had mixed results. So can you go into a little more detail about that?
Yeah, thanks for asking that because it's important that I say mixed results, meaning they weren't great and they weren't bad. They were mixed. And what happens is our formulation, we had these interior capsules that we thought the drug or the powder would dissolve in the small intestine because we know it has to be absorbed there or at least has to activate there. What happened is the capsules didn't work, and it worked in some patients, it didn't work in others. In some patients, it just came right out of the GI tract. So the FDA wants us to get this coefficient factor of 80%. In some patients, we achieved that. In some patients, we didn't, but we have to average it out. So the average came out to about 60%. So one thing we know for sure is we have an active drug. It absolutely works. We also know for sure we don't have the right formulation. So we're in the midst of fixing that right now. So we did have mixed results.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think a lot of us have a new appreciation for clinical trials and how complicated all of it can be. And not just the trials, but the logistics of getting vaccines or whatever it is where they need to go. Now, there was also, you licensed niclosamide, if I'm mispronouncing it, please help me. I have the worst time with drug names. And this is a COVID treatment, correct? So we think the pandemic's maybe on the wane at least. Will this still be relevant?
I love that question because when my investors ask me that all the time. So let me talk a little bit again about my background. I've been in infectious diseases for a very long time and helped launch some of the first products into HIV, and actually the most successful product into HIV at the time, which was tenofovir when I was at Gilead. And we launched that back in 2001, a fully 14 years after AZT was launched, and when people thought they had the answer to HIV. One thing we knew about HIV hides. It hides in reservoirs, meaning it's over there, and that's why it's so hard to get a vaccine that works 100% against HIV. And we're never, I don't believe, going to vaccinate our way out of HIV. Why? Because it keeps mutating. And when we know about COVID-19 and why I licensed this product in is because the vaccines are great. Don't get me wrong. They're a great solution to bringing down the pandemic and making it into an epidemic. So we're going to always see pockets of COVID. This is an incredible virus. It's got well over 100 mutations already in the year or maybe 2 years that it's been out there. And it's been out for quite a while. The Indian variant that you're seeing right now, it's got a double variant. That's of concern. We're not sure that all the vaccines are going to work. And I promise you, because of my background in virology, there's going to be something worse than the Indian variant coming along. Not sure when, but it's going to happen. So I don't believe that we're going to be able to vaccinate ourselves totally out of this pandemic. We do need therapeutics. Niclosamide has been around for 50 years. It's an anti-parasitic drug. The Institute of Pasteur in Korea tested all the drugs that they could repurpose at the time. Niclosamide had 40 times the efficacy of remdesivir, which has been since approved by the FDA, the Gilead drug.
Interesting. Okay, so you have managed to raise quite a bit of money in your not even 2 years. Let's see, how much have you raised? What have you used that for? And when do you think you might have to have another capital raise?
So yeah, when last I spoke to you, we had a lot of debt and we had to restructure a lot of the company, a capital restructure. So today we raised a little over $34 million in that time frame in about 16 months. Where we use the money, we used to pay off the debt, so we have a clean balance sheet. We used to pay back some investors that lent us money as well. We are fixing our manufacturing. The company did not really spend any money on manufacturing. So MS-1819, as I said, the option 2 study, we showed our formulation doesn't work. So we've got to spend some money on that. We're in the midst of doing that. We'll have one more study, a smaller bridging study to show that we fixed that. We're using actually the same formulation, I should say, that AbbVie has. So these microbeads. And we used our money for acquisitions to bring in First Wave Bio and to hire people, because now we have 3 different programs going on.
Okay, well, James, thank you so much for the update. Always very interesting, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.